So I'm going to plant the pothos today, and this pothos is just a super cool plant. It will vine out. It keeps this nice variegated leaves. It's just a really, really pretty plant. And then you guys all have your pots. And then you've got dirt on each of your tables. There's also gloves. So like I said at the beginning, if you didn't see me before, gloves, if you want them, get some. I've got some sanitizer out there if you don't want to get your hands dirty. I get my hands dirty. I feel the dirt. I love it. And then I just invest in a lot of nail brushes. So, and your fake nails. Yes, I wish. I break all my fake nails off. I can't anymore. So when I start, I want to, check my plant. All your plants are going to be okay, but you want to make sure it's got some moisture to it before you want to pot it. And pretty much all yours should be okay. Your sansevieria is going to be a little bit different. It'll probably be dry when you plant it. So when I start planting, I kind of look and see where I'm at in the pot. I'm going to have to put some dirt in there so I can get it up to the level that it's reaching the top of the pot. So I know in this case, I'm going to need to put some dirt in the bottom of my pot, and I just get it in there. Just get some dirt in there. Give yourself about a couple inches of dirt inside your pot, and take your time. Then I kind of just measure it in there. I put the pot in there and everything, and I'm at the right level. I've got about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches of dirt in there. And plants are, even though you guys say you kill plants, we all kill them, don't worry. Sometimes they get little bugs in them. Sometimes they get too much water, too much sun. A big issue with houseplants is drafts. Don't put them near drafts where you've got doors opening and closing. That'll be one of the first things I ask somebody when they say, look at my plant, what's going on? Is it near a draft? Is it near a door that's opening? Is it near a heater or air conditioning system that's blowing on it? The biggest one, fiddle leaf figs, and I don't know if any of you guys have fiddle leaf figs, they hate any kind of drafts or any kind of moving air. So get them in the middle of a room or, somewhere where you don't have a leaky window, leaky doors, dogs aren't wagging tails and moving in and out and stuff like that. That'll help your fiddle leaf fig. Other than that, fiddle leaf figs are super easy. I know we don't have ones that we're planting today, but other than that, not a bad plant. So they really hate drafts, heat, air, any kind of swings in temperature. That'll be one thing that you're. Also, indoor houseplants like bright indirect light. I know that sounds kind of funny. They don't want any sun beaming on them, but they like a bright room. So if you get some sunburn spots, you'll see some dark spots, maybe brown edges and stuff like that. That could be a possibility of maybe too much sun. So keep it in bright but indirect light. The sansevieria, on the other hand, could probably live in a cave if you wanted him to. He could take basically a dark room or a medium-sized room somewhere. Those plants are easy to grow in very little light if you needed it to. That's why I love them too.
Are they okay if it's in a bright area?
Yeah, they're fine. They can live just about anywhere.
They can't be direct.
Yep. They can live. They're the perfect plant. They really are. Because they can just live in just about anything. So when I take my pot, I want to kind of loosen the soil, and I just kind of hold him at his base, kind of wiggle that pot until I see my plant. And don't worry, you can be tough with him. Just like Harry Potter, pull that mandrake out. Yank him out. So I set him right on the top of where I was, and then I get more dirt and I start filling all around it. I'm going to start in my sides. You don't have to loosen their roots. If you see that you've got a plant, these roots are pretty loose. If you guys, when you go home and you buy a plant somewhere and you pull it out and you see all those roots, and I'm glad you said this, you want to pull their roots apart and get them loosened up so they can start finding food in their bigger pot. If you get a pot, and especially with annuals, this will happen as a growing season. If it starts growing in a circular pattern, get that pulled apart. Otherwise, they'll keep growing in that circular pattern, those roots will. What else about houseplants? And you may need a bigger pot. If this one, you're living in it and it doesn't seem to be growing much, You're like, I'm doing everything right, it's okay, it's not really growing. It could be ready for a bigger pot. And when you pull it out of this current pot and you see all those big roots in it, then you know, hey, I need to be in a bigger pot. So that's a good indicator. Anything else, Nick, that you can think of about growing? I think that's good. So I just keep filling it, and I want to fill it to the top, and I want to make sure that it's nice and firm in there. Fill it to the top. Your gut,
Right at the black soil.
right at the black soil. And I get it in there. I pat this down. And then get it in there so you've got to pat it down, and then you want to make sure you water your plant in. Even though it might have been moist, we want to water it in. And I've got a watering can up here. We can just start passing around when you guys are ready to do it. But when I water it, I want to water it so I've got, I get enough soil. It's going to puddle at the top. I want to let it soak in a little bit. And I'll let it soak down and let the water stream through the new soil. It'll take a minute. So do this when you get it home. You could do this in your sink if you're planting things at home. Just do it in your kitchen sink and it'll give it. Now, there's a thing in here where Nick's got it in here if your plant is dried up a little bit, you'll see the soil pulling away from the side of the pot. Ooh, I guess I didn't give it enough love. I've really let it dry out too much. You're going to have to poke around the edge of that soil to get the water fully through. Otherwise, once you start watering, it'll just go straight through. Well, you want to maybe loosen that soil a little bit against those edges and slowly water it. And that'll help you revive that guy. So, I don't know, you want to pass this guy around? And then if you need to add some additional soil after you've watered this in, then you certainly can, and that's what I'm going to do. And it'll stay pretty moist.
How much water? Like plant water?
Just about what I did in those. You want to make sure it puddles up and then allow it to drain. So you may want to give it a little bit more, let it puddle, and then it'll slowly drain. Then you'll be good.
And how much water do these guys like? Same thing? Water
Same thing.
Soak through and then dry them out?
Yep, then dry them out.
And do they like a little sun?
Do they like what?
A little sun?
They'll take indirect light. They don't need a whole lot of sun, just a bright room. That's why these plants are so good for an office area. I'll go grab some towels too. And sometimes, you guys, if I don't like what my plant looks like in there, I may move him around in there and adjust him. But I like the way this guy's going. I'm going to go grab some towels too so we can wipe our pots down.
How long do you leave this on?
I leave mine on. I left my first braid on forever. I haven't unbraided it. You'll see some will come unbraided as they're growing. And then when it pops babies up, the little pups on the outside, if you get 3 that close together, you can start braiding them yourself. All these plants you guys have, they'll probably live in those pots for a good year before you're going to repot them. Any of your plants that you water, try to water the soil, not the plant themselves. That's even annuals, perennials, anything. Little beads on leaves create good ways for sun. They're like prisms then, and you burn leaves. So always a good rule of thumb is to water the soil, not the plant themselves. And you'll see when we water here, we water the soil. We get down in that with that head and we water soil everywhere. We try to avoid watering any of the leaves if at all possible. It's better, it's much better for the plant. I'm glad you said that. That was not, occasionally yes, they can attract insects. Just everyday living, insects come in and out of our homes all the time. If you're one that puts houseplants outside and brings them inside, definitely there is critters out there laying larvae in your soil. That's why I got this guy out. This is truly what I believe in. It is, it's called systemic houseplant insect control. You sprinkle it in your soil. If you see eggs, you see whitefly, something like that, you won't see eggs. You'll see whitefly, those little flies. That happens. Sprinkle this in here. It gives you directions on all the plants back here. You sprinkle it into your soil. You don't even have to water it in. It lasts about 8 weeks, 2 months. It should be sufficient to get rid of anything that's in that house plant that's causing whitefly or anything like that. Any kind of issues that you have with disease on your house plants, that's the best stuff right there.
So can you spray that on all the house plants?
You're just going to sprinkle it into its soil. Systemic means it starts from the root and gets it all the way up into the plant. So you'll just sprinkle it in there. It'll eventually, when you water and everything, it'll get into your root system and it will protect the plant then. It will kill any eggs and larvae, anything in there that has attached itself to the dirt. Sometimes dirt comes in with it. You get a new bag of potting soil. I've heard that happen before. Very rarely happens, but it can happen. I mean, it's nature. You know, we can't nature proof it. This stuff does a great job. Now, feeding your houseplants. You're not going to feed houseplants in the winter typically because they're not growing. They're dormant. They're not doing a whole lot. When you do feed, this Espoma product called Grow is a really good one, but we recommend doing it at half strength, and Nick's got that in his notes here. And this is a pre-measured cap, and you just mix this with your regular watering for once a month. For your you use the cactus mix. It just has a lot more, just different vitamins for a Sansevieria that's more like in the succulent cactus family. So you're going to use that guy. This could be used for any houseplant, and especially if you're one that brings your houseplants out, brings them back in for the winter. Use this. Use this about if you are somebody that brings their houseplants, puts them on their deck, and then brings them in for the winter, do this about a month before you bring it in. Then that'll kill any eggs or larvae that are in there, and you should be fly-free. But remember, it'll last 8 weeks, and you can do it again. Anything can happen, guys. Anything can happen. As much as we don't want it to, it can happen. They like it, so aloes, succulents like it sunny. We keep all our succulents and aloes in the front of that greenhouse window. You don't want to give it like a beam of light, but you want it very, very sunny, so in a window is preferable for aloes and succulents. Yeah, they need it bright. I don't have the correct facing windows in my house. I kill every succulent I've brought into that home. I won't kill Sansevierias though, because they can live without it. But that's why I have so many of them. But succulents need bright light. So you want to, here's the one thing you're doing wrong. The succulents need to be watered thoroughly once a month. So they're soaking. What they do is retain their water in their root system and feeds the leaves, and that's why it's a succulent, because it literally means water in their leaves. So they hold the water in the root system and leaves. And it feeds the plant continuously through that month or so. If your house is a little drier like in the winter, you may want to go once every 3 weeks on a succulent. Just depending on the dryness of your house. Giving it just a little bit of water, you basically starved it.
Okay, that's why they're all dying.
Yep, that's why they're dying. So are you guys happy with your plants so far?
I love that.
Okay. You won't need to feed them any until about mid-March. And then get some kind, if you already have something like I'm an Osmocote girl, again, because Osmocote is a slow release, it's a granular, you just put it in the soil, it feeds it for 6 months. If you guys like Christmas cactuses, we've got plenty here. Those bloom, sometimes you can get those guys to bloom twice a year. Typically they'll bloom somewhere between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and we had some beautiful blooms this year on them. But they're a beautiful green plant and they'll last forever. I mean, I got a girlfriend of mine that's got one that's, her kid's 27. That plant's 27. She got it when he was born. Yeah, so they'll live as long as if they like how they're at, don't mess with it. That's what I like doing. No. If you see them suffering, then go through the steps like in here that Nick's got. You want to give this out? Cool. I'm going to go grab a couple towels and some paper towels so you can wipe your pot down. Nick's going to pass around his 10 commandments of houseplants. That'll really, and it's on some cardstock, so it's something you can keep. If you want an extra copy, we've got extra copies you want to give to somebody, definitely.